Welcome to Chuck Builds. This is the first video of a series on how to host a website. This is going to be a lot of context and explanation, but I urge you to stick around to learn some of these concepts and why I'm doing it the way we are. For the last 2 years, I've been volunteering on a nonprofit board in Dallas, Texas. This board, when I joined, was spending a lot of money on their web hosting and emails, while also not ranking very high in search engine optimization, and all of the work for the website fell to one board member, which was typically a point of concern. They didn't like doing it, it was very difficult, and sometimes they had to hire help to get changes on the website. As a result, the website was perpetually out of date and everybody just generally wasn't using it and didn't like to see it. What we're going to be doing today is hosting a website that everybody on the board can join and edit, and we're going to go through some of the concepts behind that about why, how, and why I think that's important. We're going to be using a lot of Docker containers. I'm going to go through how to do all this on a virtual private server that we will be paying to use. We'll be using a virtual private server because this is for an organization. If I was hosting this website just for me or my YouTube channel, as we see on the screen for Chuck Builds, I do host this in my home, on my hardware, on my own internet, because it's mine, it's for me. But for an organization, we want this to continue without me. We want this to be up without my hands in it, and that if something goes wrong, other people can kind of help. We want people to learn how to do this, hence this series, and be able to step up and take control for as long as they're on the board and then hand that off to someone else. When I first got started with helping this organization I'm involved with, they had someone from years ago registered for the domains, somebody else was registered for the website, somebody else was registered for the emails, and it was just a mess. There were people that were no longer involved in this organization responsible for very important parts of our web presence and our day-to-day opportunities. So with that in mind, and continuing this on in perpetuity, without you individually being responsible, the first recommendation and thing I want to talk about is a Google Workspace. A Google Workspace is a solution that has Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Drive, and Gmail available for free to nonprofit organizations. If your organization has a tax identification number, it's very easy to get this set up. It's very helpful for the administration of this in perpetuity. We will be setting up all of our accounts, all of our registrations, all of our domains to an email in this workspace called admin@yourdomain.com, which would be your email address. That admin group inside of Google Workspace, you can constantly swap in and out people to receive those emails, but the root email admin will always be there. So if 5 years from now, I'm no longer involved and someone wants to get access to change the domain or to pay the bill, maybe they want to renew it or they need to move it for whatever reason, there's a change that needs to happen, they'll be able to add themselves to this admin@domain.com and do something like a password reset, or hopefully we'll document those passwords for them to use. The reason I think this is so important is just for that aspect of perpetuity. It's for an organization, it's for a group of people that's going to have a lot of turnover over the next 5 years or so. I don't want to be the only one responsible for that. I want to be able to go on and do other things with my life and not be forever hosting this organization's website. With that in mind, if you are hosting something for yourself, all of these instructions will still work for you. You'll probably just skip this virtual private server aspect of it, and it'll be pretty easy to see what to use and when. Now that we've talked about the difference between the organization or the individual aspect of hosting your own website and the importance for an organization to have the ability to continue on without you, let's talk about the solutions we'll be using. These are going to be Docker containers for the most part. Docker is a very popular way to host applications because it lets you containerize or bundle all the aspects of this app that you need into one place, and then easy to share it and update it. There's a lot more explanation to Docker. I'm not really going to be getting into it, but that's, I think, all you're going to need to know to follow along. For this website, Chuck Builds, I am hosting this on something called Ghost. Ghost is great because you can create an account, you can subscribe, and it has built-in post and email handling that generally makes this kind of a jack of all trades. It's intended for blogging, but I find it would work really well for a website where you have a newsletter or common updates. I think organizations can really benefit by using Ghost instead of hosting their own WordPress or Squarespace, just for the membership aspect and the newsletter aspect, which for us has made a huge difference in just the ease of management and the cost. Now, you can pay Ghost to host your website with a certain number of members and staff users, but I think we can beat this price and have a little bit of a better solution with a little bit more control. We have a little bit more that we can do with more staff users and cheaper. I'd highly recommend you check out the Ghost website to understand what all is going on and how it works, but they have a lot of themes and general solutions and ideas on their forms to use. Now, I mentioned for Ghost, a part of what makes it so great is their emails. They use something called Mailgun to send their emails. They have a solution for Mailgun that is FlexPay, pay as you go. It's about $1 per 1,000 emails sent. Now, there are cheaper solutions out there with something like SendGrid, but Ghost is tightly intertwined with Mailgun and we're pretty much stuck using it. I think that's okay. I've been very happy with them so far, and I'm going to walk you through all the steps we need there. In addition to the Ghost Mailgun combo, it requires that we host MySQL, a database to store all of the users, all the posts, and all that information. It needs somewhere to store it. And MySQL is free for us to use, and we'll get all that set up, but don't worry, you don't need to know any SQL. Outside of the Ghost group of what we have to have, which is Ghost, Mailgun, and MySQL, we're going to also be hosting something called FormBricks. FormBricks does have an enterprise pricing solution, but they have a self-hosting solution, which is Community Edition, free for whenever, and it's pretty easy to set up. I really, really appreciate FormBricks having this. I did a lot of research on the best form solution. I think we've all seen all kinds of solutions that are out there, and they get pretty expensive or they don't have a lot of features, and I've been finding FormBricks is a good middle ground to hear back from your visitors, your organization, your whoever's involved with your group. We'll get all that set up and I'll explain that as well. And FormBricks is going to require PostgreSQL. And again, you don't need to know any SQL. It's just another requirement and it'll be pretty easy to set up. Next up, we'll be using N8N, which is a workflow automation tool, which will allow us to execute actions automatically across multiple different programs. This would allow us to send a welcome email when they create their first Ghost account. This would allow us to thank them for a donation. This would allow us to post to Instagram when we make a post on our Ghost blog to save you a few clicks. Again, N8N will let you get started for free and self-host it, which I think is awesome. It's a little complicated, but we'll get through it, and there's lots of resources online on how to use it. Now, I had mentioned, as this is going to be for an organization, or hypothetically for an organization, we'll be using something called Hetzner, a virtual private server, which is pretty much a cloud server that we'll be paying for. And it's a very agreeable starting price of about €4, which I think will be about $5-6 US per month. And that's pretty cheap for what we're going to be getting, and I'll walk you through how to use all of that. Next up, we'll be using something called Caddy as a reverse proxy, which will automatically get us Let's Encrypt certificates for HTTPS and SSL so that our website is safe and secure, and it'll be end-to-end encrypted from our visitor to our server. This is very important when we're taking in payment information or collecting their name and email address. It'll also prevent a warning from popping up on your visitor's page saying that the website is insecure. It's something we absolutely must do, and it's not too bad to get set up. Additionally, we'll be using Cloudflare to purchase our domain, to set our DNS records, and Cloudflare also has a few other solutions and products to keep our domain safe and our website secure, and we'll get through some of those options later. But I wanted to call that out, that you could use any domain provider. If your organization already has a domain, you can then register your name server with Cloudflare and have some of those security features as well. In this case, I'll just be purchasing a domain through them and setting it all up that way. I like Cloudflare. They have built-in DDoS protection. They have some security options that we can set, such as if your organization is strictly based in one state or in one city, that you don't necessarily need internet access to, can block out other countries from visiting your website, saving you money on your hosting costs and keeping you safe from foreign attacks. Now, this is a lot, and we're going to be going through this step by step. So don't worry, buckle up, and we're going to get through it. Again, I just want to say that this video series is going to be targeted a lot at an organization perspective. It will work if you want to do this yourself, if you want to host it on your own hardware, or if you want to host it on Hetzner as well. Absolutely, this will all work. But I'll be mentioning some concepts so that you can have staff or other volunteers have access, and we'll get through all that. Let's dive in.